season winding down, it is becoming harder and harder for rivals to catch the ever-dominant Brandon Proudfoot. And with only 3 races left and a gap of over 100 points, Proudfoot's title seems somewhat inevitable. But as is always the case in dirt racing, anything can happen. Welcome, everyone, to the 9th round of Season 10 for the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. We are here at the virtual dirt track at Charlotte, right across the street from the famous Charlotte Motor Speedway. My name is DJ Clark, and on behalf of the Virtual Grip Network, my partner here in the booth, Austin Belke, our director, Mike Yao, as well as everyone behind the scenes at BGN, we'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight. Austin, this dirt track may not be quite as famous as its big sister just across the way, but what can you tell us about this always competitive circuit?
Yeah, DJ, first off, the basics. This place is 4/10 of a mile, 0.64 kilometers if you use those units. It was built in 2000, but it's quickly becoming a staple in the dirt racing world, and even especially here in BRL. I expect a line to start low to middle and then quickly go up high to against the wall. You can see 77 degrees Fahrenheit, pretty stable wind conditions, only about 8 kilometers an hour, 36% humidity, so relatively dry out here. And then you can see right before, or after, we get to the race details, we'll go through the championship standings.
Indeed, and as I said, in those championship standings, Brandon Proudfoot has about 130 points of a lead right now over his rival William Hargraves. Billy Northcutt a little bit ways back from them. There you can see with 399, Chris Davis in a very close fight with Jason Best for 4th overall. And then the points start to sort of tail off from there on out. So this is very much Proudfoot's championship to lose. But anything can happen in dirt racing, and especially in this series where there are no drop weeks. A single bad race from Proudfoot or anybody else can absolutely open this championship wide open. Well, Austin, you teased it a little bit before, but what can you tell us about today's race details?
For sure, DJ, typical dirt racing style, we're going to have heat races. 6 laps each, the top 2 cars in each heat transfer to the main event right off the bat. Then we're going to have the mains, the last chance qualifiers. In each of those, we're going to take the first driver in those. They transfer a maximum of 18 cars in the feature, so we're going to be kind of playing to that number all night long. Then we're going to have a warm-up of about 5 minutes, and then the feature event, 40 laps, 18 drivers. You can score points in all these affairs. And then we're going to have cautions on in the race only, but caution laps don't count. Green flag racing only. That's the only way we're going to complete laps. And then when we get down to 10 to go, we're going to have single file restarts, so it doesn't matter if you're on the top or the bottom.
Exactly, and those single file restarts we've seen a couple of times really change the course of everything. As you talked a little bit about earlier, Austin, but this is a relatively newer dirt track in the dirt racing community, but it's quickly become a staple. Tends to be a little bit more high side dominant as the race goes along, but it's big, it's wide, there is plenty of opportunity to throw a slide job, and it's a real treat to drive.
That's right, DJ. This is one of the most fun tracks on the circuit, especially if you can just rip that high line up there on the lip right against the cushion. It's a lot of fun to go up high by the wall, but you can even get it done down on the inside. I feel like Brandon Proudfoot's going to be one of the drivers making up positions if he needs to, especially on that bottom line. And we might see some other drivers that are good with throttle control, like J.R. Shepard, kind of going on the bottom to make up any moves, but I think sliders are going to be the main way to pass people.
For sure, as we watch Robbie Robinson right now working on that sort of middle line here in the 56 machine. He currently sits 14th place. Proudfoot topping the charts here, which is always an ill omen. Sometimes he's started off a little bit sketchy in these practice and qualifying sessions and then has just absolutely become electric as the night goes along. But I've got to think, seeing him 200ths of a second ahead of Carl Kilgore right now from the drop of the practice flag, that has got to be an ill omen for the rest of the field.
Well, DJ, you say that, so he might maybe be 0.2 faster as the night goes on, but it really just depends on when you get into the practice session, because we say it every week, the track starts out very, very tacky. 0% track state, not rubbered in, it's all kind of that light brown you see, which means the track is new. That's why Brandon is running right now, that lighter part of the track, no marbles there, no black stuff to be rubber down on that track, so it's the grippiest, it's the fastest, right when practice opens. Then these guys get out here, they start putting down some laps, the line moves around, the track overall gets slower and slower. So you want to get out there, put your hot lap in immediately, and then kind of see where you are compared to everyone else. Brandon Proudfoot typically comes in here pretty late within the last 10 or 12 minutes of the session. So usually the track's already kind of slicked off at that point. The fastest groove is kind of moved around, but overall slower lap. So Brandon obviously got in here early today, put down a quick lap, as has the rest of the field.
Yes, they have, and I'm looking particularly now at the third place driver here, William Hargraves. This is really and truly starting to be make or break time for the driver of the 71. He was able to keep that championship very tight with Proudfoot early in the season, but as it has gone along, Proudfoot has just continued to eke away and eke away and eke away. And dare I say it here, Austin, Hargraves, he's got to pick up a win here tonight if he wants even a shred of hope of being able to challenge for the title in these last two races.
DJ, I mean, Proudfoot has been eking away, but I really feel like it's been, Hargraves and the competitors to Proudfoot kind of eking themselves backwards. More often than not, they'll have an amazing race for the first 39 laps, and within the last couple, maybe 5 or 6 or so, they kind of fall off the pace just a little bit and kind of give that championship lead back to Proudfoot. So, unfortunately, they're going to have to win, but it's not just a win that's going to make them, be more competitive in the championship. They really need Proudfoot to, dare I say, not make the feature or at least finish really, really bad in the feature, because the point deficit that Proudfoot has right now, he could practically miss the entire last race and still win the championship.
He could indeed. And speaking of not making the feature, we are currently sat at 22 entries right now. So that means that 4 drivers will be going home. And as we've always talked about, Austin, that certainly amps up the pressure for a lot of these drivers, knowing that there is a chance that you may not make the big show at the end of the night.
Of course, DJ, you cleared your entire night to run this race, at least an hour and a half of your time, and then to just not even make the race because, maybe you have some sort of error that's caused by yourself or caused by another driver, and then all of a sudden, the entire reason you blocked off your night for is gone, lost, no reason to be here. You kind of just shut down your machine and come watch the broadcast up in the stands here with us.
Yeah, exactly, and that is not a feeling you want to have. We continue to watch here. Robbie Robinson working his way around a little bit. You can see that middle line starting to slick in. Here's another driver to watch out for that's been very, very quick over the course of the last couple of races. Jackie Whaley ripping that high line like you talked about is maybe a preferred way to get around here, Austin.
That's right. One person I just want to mention right now, Lon Franks. He just recently set the 3rd fastest time on the board. You saw it go green for him. That means personal best for him. You saw it kind of flash on the left-hand side of your screen. So he just went 3rd fastest. Maybe this track isn't too slow after all, DJ.
Exactly. We got some definite speed around here. Lon Franks, a 2-time winner over the course of this season. It's definitely some speed there from the 58. Jackie Whaley playing around a little bit with that low to slider line, now jumping it back up high. And this is really the point in the race, Austin, it's practice, but where drivers are just feeling things out, feeling out how the track is going to rubber in and figuring out what their not only fastest lines will be, but the lines where they feel most comfortable.
Right, you need to find out where your car is the most comfortable at when the track feels this way, because as the night goes on, it will progress to a track state just like this. You see Ryan Seneca out there trying the high line right now, trying out 1 or 2 car whips off the wall, because as you go through your heat races, even the last chance qualifier, if God forbid you need to go there, or even the race when the track gets rubbered in, you can't just go where you're comfortable. You need to kind of ride around, try out different lines, see what it's like to run in the middle, see what it's like to run up by the wall, see if, how you can possibly get around here right by those tractor tires, and find out just how close you can get before your front bumper touches one of those and whips you around.
Exactly, and like we always enjoy saying here, it's all about driving where the other drivers are not if you're trying to make a pass around here, so very crucial to be able to feel that out. As we tick down with about 5 seconds left to go in qualifying, John Wilson there taking a little bit of exception, I think, to those big inside tractor tires. They can definitely catch you out if you are one of the brave few that decides to run that low line.
Yeah, they can catch your car, and in the blink of an eye, you are facing the wrong direction, looking at your competition through the windshield into their windshield, not the way you want to be looking at them if you're going to look at them out your windshield at all. But you see the track state has now changed to be 0%. It's all entirely tacky like it was when the drivers got into practice. So you can see a couple drivers going out right now. You see our very own Virtual Grip Network's John Hine.
Yeah, he's going to be heading out on track there in the 21, and we will be joined shortly by another member of the Virtual Grip Network team, Mr. Billy Northcutt, who has agreed to be our in-race reporter here to give us a little bit of heads up as to how this track will be running out there. John looks like he's favoring the high line early, trying to build that momentum, now diving into the middle lane to try to get the most speed he can.
Yeah, certainly, DJ. He's just using that high side when he goes out to start his initial lap to kind of go ahead and make that front stretch longer, build up the most momentum he possibly can to try and get his laps rolling. You see him putting down a purple sector that puts him fastest on the provisional qualifying board. Right now, you see John Wilson just about 1/100th of a second off him, 9/100ths, almost a whole tenth behind him. You see Bobby Hayes now goes up to provisional pole. Lon Frank's now P2. Carl Kilgore.
Yeah, some very, very fast times coming in, and Kilgore's gap there very large. That's about a tenth of a second, and for those unfamiliar with dirt racing, that is a huge amount of time. Kilgore opting to come back down pit lane, though, after everything is said and done. He's going to have another crack at the apple a little bit later. Still waiting for some of the heavy hitters to come out. Brandon Proudfoot, Billy Northcutt setting his time right now. Jim Revis also.
William Hargraves goes fastest. I just saw him jump up. Now he's got about 4/100ths over Carl Kilgore.
Yes, he does. Billy Northcutt there in that 0-0 machine. He is going to be third fastest as he comes to a little bit of a stop. Steven Spies, another sometimes reporter here for the Virtual Grip Network, out on track running around. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Spies, one of those drivers that's not a big fan of running on the super high line. Here is the 23 right now of Glenn Townsend. Currently doesn't have a time set. Lon Frank's able to improve a little bit there in fourth position. Still waiting on Proudfoot to set a time, but let's see here what Townsend is able to do. He's going to cross over the line there and waiting for that time to count. He may have brushed the wall as I don't see him moving up, but Steven Spies able to work his way up into 11th.
Yeah, Steven Spies is knocking on the door of the top 10. You see Hunter Hill going out to complete his laps. Jason Best is out there. Jackie Whaley starting to put down some laps. Here's our sometimes reporter J.R. Shepard out there in that Different Path Motorsports machine, a 98 car.
JR good enough for 10th place there. Here comes Jackie Whaley coming across the line. Looked green in the first sector, not so good in the second. Brendan Myers, Jackie Whaley able to put a seventh best time down. Brendan Myers there putting in a 19th best. Billy Northcutt looking like he was unable to improve there from that third place position. He is actually on a dead even time with Carl Kilgore right now, so very, very impressive there for him. Let's go ahead and actually bring up our in-race reporter, Billy Northcutt. Billy, a P3 out there for right now. How's she feeling?
Oh, I mean, right now it's feeling pretty good. I like this track. I like the way it kind of sits at 10% like this for the qualifying. You can kind of just keep it wide open and send it up top in 1 and 2 and see where you land. I'm not too concerned where I end up in qualifying. I feel like Brandon will probably put a lap in here someday and probably get up there, maybe knock me down to 4th, but that's totally fine. We're just out here to have fun, and looks like Williams got a pretty good lap up there in 1st, and Carl beat me by just a hair there, so we should have a pretty tight, fun race tonight.
Hey Billy, it's Austin up in the booth. Couple questions about how the night goes on. We heard you talking about, holding it wide open, running the top line just as soon as you get out there. Do you expect the high line is going to be viable all race long, or is it mostly just at the beginning and then it will fail as the night goes longer?
I mean, I feel like at least in 1 and 2, the high line will probably be where the fast guys are 99% of the race, I would imagine, unless you're throwing a slider. 3 and 4, it seems like the bottom will open up as the night goes on, and then it'll go away again. So whoever can find that as the track changes will have an advantage, and we'll see how it plays out.
Quick question for you. White flag, you're going into turns 3 and 4. You want to be on the bottom, or do you want to be up top?
I mean, I think you probably want to be up top. I mean, in these heat races and kind of moving forward, you're going to be not quite right at the wall. You're going to be at 3 and 4. You're going to be middle for a lot of these early heats and stuff. But I mean, towards the end of the feature and stuff, especially, there's going to be you're going to want to be up top on all the restarts and at any situation. I feel like.
Well, thank you so much, Billy. We'll let you get back to prep here as we've got to get ready to go for the first heat race tonight. And it is going to be led off by William Hargraves in the pole position with Brandon Proudfoot to his outside. Jim Revis and Glenn Townsend going to be making out your top 4.
J.R. Shepard starts in 5th with Steven Spies to his outside in 6th. Rounding out the field is Robbie Robinson in 7th and Ryan Seneker in 8th.
All right, so some pretty heavy hitters in this race. J.R. Shepard starting a little bit farther down than we're used to seeing him, but Steven Spies down there as well. And then obviously the 2 title contenders in the form of William Hargraves and Brandon Proudfoot starting up at 1 and 2.
Yeah, even down to the last row, Robbie Robinson, I said it last week and I'll continue to say it, Robbie usually has a bad qualifying effort and then a really good race effort, and if he has a good qualifying effort, he doesn't have the best race effort, so he's even one of the guys I expect he's going to march his way up towards the front before the night's through.
Well, and leader does have lane choice here in this race, and it looks like right now that Hargraves is opting to start on the low line. Austin, do you think that's going to change over the course of the night, or do you think that low line is going to be the way to go?
Well, DJ, because the leader can start the race when he wants to, as long as the pace truck is off the track, which he does down the backstretch, he can start in turns 3 and 4 whenever he wants. So I feel like Williams just going to put the power down, straighten his exit at turn 4, and then he should hopefully clear Brandon enough to kind of pull a slide job up to the outside turns 3 and 4, then cut back down to the bottom, outside 1 and 2, bottom 3 and 4, they're green.
We are green indeed, and it's Jim Revis actually looking a little bit feisty there on the back of Brandon Proudfoot, but Proudfoot along the outside, able to carry a lot of momentum. Here comes Revis again. Hargraves running that middle line, trying to block off some of the momentum of Proudfoot. J.R. Shepard already doing a great job trying to fight his way up through the order right now.
Yeah, these guys are fighting for pole position here, so even though the top 2 definitely make it into the feature, you want to start on pole.
Yes, indeed they do, and Revis knows that contact between himself and Proudfoot, that gets Proudfoot sideways. Revis has to check up as well. They're still going to be side by side, and that's going to open up a little bit of opportunity here for Glenn Townsend to get involved in this 3-car battle for P2.
Yeah, DJ, Glenn is here to pounce if either of these drivers make too much contact and spin themselves into the infield. He's there to pounce and then transfer himself all the way to the main event.
All right, it looks like Proudfoot's starting to build a little bit of an advantage there. Now a little bit of a re-rack for Jim Revis. He's going to dive down to the low side, and that is going to be Proudfoot diamonding off the corner a little bit, able to carry some good speed off of the line. Glenn Townsend continuing to threaten behind, and he's got to watch out for J.R. Shepard, who's running a low line down there to try to get to the inside of the 23.
That's right. William Hargraves had to have been loving that battle between Proudfoot and Revis because he's pulled away. Now he has about a 0.3 of a second, but Brandon Proudfoot just put in the fastest lap of the race. He's been catching Hargraves this entire time since he cleared himself away from Jim Revis.
Yes, he has. The gap standing at about a car length and a half as they cross over to take the white flag here. Single file, everybody pretty much on the high side, varying degrees on the exit. Hargraves trying to hold off Proudfoot. Proudfoot looking for momentum to diamond off the corner. He's now going to go down low as they dive into 3 and 4. That's going to be momentum favoring Hargraves.
It'll be a drag race.
Outside, and it's Hargraves taking the victory by 1/10 of a second over Brandon Proudfoot. Both drivers advancing.
Yeah, Proudfoot was honestly, if he was alongside him for sure. I think he was at his rear axle. The first 2 drivers advancing are going to be Hargraves and Proudfoot. Revis, Townsend, Shepard, Spies, Robinson, Seneker all have to go on to their last chance qualifier.
Yes, they do, and that's going to get us ready for the second heat race here tonight, and that's going to be led off by Carl Kilgore with Lon Franks to his outside. Jackie Whaley and John Wilson will line up behind them.
Jason Menda starts in 5th with Hunter Hill to his outside in 6th. Chris Hazlett lines up shotgun to the field.
All right, so it looked like that high lane was pretty dominant here, Austin, although we did see some guys flirting around with it down low earlier on to try to see if there was anything to go. Do you think that's going to continue to play out, or is it going to be a matter of just keeping on that high line until it completely deteriorates?
Honestly, DJ, I feel like you can start, because you're the leader, you can fire off whenever you want. You can really start on the inside or the outside, but I feel like on race pace, you definitely want to be on the outside. We saw Proudfoot absolutely ripping the lip. He was catching Hargraves, and Hargraves wasn't right up next to the wall. And just like they spoke about at Fontana last week, you know, there's right up next to the wall, and then there is right up next to the wall. So the closer you get to the wall, the faster you go, but it's treacherous out there.
Yeah, it certainly is. Just a little bit of a blip or a bobble can throw you off. But I'm going to be keeping my eye here on Lon Franks. We said very fast during practice. Carl Kilgore obviously able to pip him to the pole here in the second heat race. But that 58 has been a contender really all season long.
He certainly has. I look for a lot more speed out of him. And how about John Wilson qualifying in 4th for this event? I look for him to be strong in the high side as well.
Yeah, they're all going to be ones to watch out for as the iRacing pace truck scampers off into the infield and gives control of the field over to Carl Kilgore. Kilgore now waiting to get on the loud pedal. It is up to his discretion when he wants to go. He's holding this field for a good long while. There, about halfway through the corner, he does get on the loud pedal. Franks is going to slot in directly behind him. Behind them, Wilson and Whaley are going to be side by side. Franks trying to be aggressive down to the low side, but I think momentum's going to carry Carl Kilgore along, and it is. But Frank's able to get a little bit of an overlap as they go into 3.
Yeah, Frank stuffs it down into turns 3 and 4, still trying to use the low side. He is going to have the advantage, but Carl Kilgore is going to use the momentum on the high side to go back by him. Clears Franks into turns 1 and 2. All 3 of the first 3 drivers using the outside line. You see Jackie Whaley all the way down on the bottom. We're riding. Oh, John Wilson getting spun by Jackie Whaley down the backstretch.
Just a bit of a miscommunication there between Whaley and Wilson, and that's effectively going to put them out of contention for this race. Hunter Hill now promoted up into 3rd, but he's got a lion's share to try to make up about 0.5 of a second as he tries to close back in. Jason Menda directly behind him. There is the number 12 of Hill, and there are your leaders, Carl Kilgore and Lon Franks.
Yeah, you saw Jackie Whaley come up the track just trying to save his car as he bobbled up out of turns 3 and 4. Got to the side of Jason Menda, but nothing too bad for those drivers going on there as we ride along in the rear chase camera for Carl Kilgore. You see him right up next to the wall, kind of touched there, slowed his momentum. That's going to give Lon Franks the advantage. He tries to see what he can do on the outside, but Carl Kilgore uses the inside in 3 and 4.
That was a good line there from Lon Franks. A little bit of a reverse slider, diamonding off the corner, trying to get the run off of 4 that really allowed him to close up. Let's now see, as we work on the penultimate lap, what he's able to do again. Again, runs it a little bit high. He's going to keep a more traditional high line there as they take the white flag.
Yeah, Franks has really got to make sure he's in Carl Kilgore's tracks here. And then when they go into turns 3 and 4, he has to make something happen. I feel like he's going to dive to the bottom here, but he's going to stay up top. Kilgore dives to the bottom.
Kilgore diving to the bottom, throwing just a wee bit of a slider to see if he can blow off any momentum, and that will give him the second heat race win. It'll be Kilgore, Franks. You're 2 automatically advancing with Hill, Whaley, Menda, Hazlip, and Wilson having to go back to the LCQs.
You can see the results from heat number 2 there on your screen, just like DJ just mentioned there before we get to your heat number 3 starting order.
And in that third heat race, it is going to be our in-race reporter, Billy Northcutt, lining up in pole position, followed by Chris Hill with Bobby Hayes and John Hine behind them.
Brennan Myers lines up in 5th with Jason Best to his outside. Matt Shanoski, tail end Charlie.
All right, so we definitely saw a little bit more movement going around in that second heat race there, but a lot of kind of standard what we've seen. The high line continuing to be dominant around here, and indeed, it looks like your pole sitter, Billy Northcutt, is going to opt to start on the high line here as is his prerogative as the pole sitter.
For sure, DJ, but we've also seen, a lot of momentum in speed in that lower line in turns 3 and 4. Not all the way down to the bottom, but kind of the middle. You saw Carl take that on the very last lap, and to be honest, he kind of gapped Lon in 3 and 4 that time by. So I think maybe it's a little bit faster if he can go down there. It just really depends, if the guy to the outside gets a really good run, he might come up to your outside, and then all of a sudden you're forced to go at least lower than you would be in turns 1 and 2. So I feel like it's still top dominant.
Certainly is, and Billy Northcutt certainly thinking that way. Chris Hill's going to have to try to figure out a way to get on by him, but don't count out John Hine there behind him in the 21. He is always a fast driver if given the right opportunity. As the base truck pulls off, though, it's going to be control of the field to Billy Northcutt in that pink 00 machine, waiting here to get onto the loud pedal, and he gets on it at about the traditional spot halfway through 3 and 4. That is a stellar jump from Billy Northcutt, already pulling out about a car length of an advantage. Hill tries to slide up in front of John Hine. Hine looks like he's in a little bit better control of the car, and that's Bobby Hayes having to check himself up to make sure there's no contact between him and the 21.
Yeah, John Hine, we call him the professor. Very cold, calculating, really thinks about his moves, makes only the highest percentage moves possible. So look for John to make a lot of those high percentage moves. You see Chris Hill hitting the wall, blunting his momentum as they head down the backstretch. John Hine is there, ready to capitalize if Hill makes any sort of mistakes.
Talking about that professorial attitude, you saw a little bit of a checkup there mid-corner from John Hine, not wanting to send the car too deep and try to get into contact with himself and Chris Hill. That is the 13 of Bobby Hayes running super low down on the low side, trying to get a little bit of a slider to work, but it's nothing doing there. Meanwhile, up front, the 00 of Billy Northcutt continues to lead. John Hine, though, joined in here a little bit by Jason Bess and Bobby Hayes. Almost a four-way battle here for that final transfer spot.
That's right. You see Bobby Hayes trying the absolute bottom of the track, and then in between those drivers is Jason Best. He's trying to make sure he can get all the momentum he possibly can in that, maybe second or third highest line there. John Hine still doing everything he can to get around Christopher Hill, but not able to make much of it.
Not able to make much of it, nor is Bobby Hayes, who keeps trying on that slider line. Oh, but a little bit of contact into the outside wall there for Jason Best is going to give Hayes a little bit of an advantage. We're going to come to the line here to take one to go. It's now or never time. That low line is proving me wrong. Bobby Hayes making it work to perfection. He was up into P3 by the end of it. Maybe a little bit of contact there between Hine and Chris Hill. Bobby Hayes trying to go for this one last time. They dive down into 3 and 4. This could be any one of 3 cars as they come off of the corner. It looks like a good run for Hayes. At the line, it is Bobby Hayes making that low line work.
What a move, 2/100ths of a second. I don't know how he was able to do that. I figured for sure he was going to come home 3rd or 4th best, but wow, what a race. Chris Hill, John Hine, Jason Best, Brendan Myers, Matt Shanoski, all going to have to go on to the last chance qualifier.
My goodness gracious, I thought for sure he was going to be caught out napping, but he was not. But this does bring us into the C-Main, the first of our last chance qualifiers here. The top 6 drivers will advance on. And in those positions, it'll be Jim Revis starting off in pole position, followed by Chris Hill with Jackie Whaley and J.R. Shepard behind them.
Jason Best lines up in 5th with Chris Haslip to his outside in 6th. Rounding out the last row is Robbie Robinson and Matt Shanoski.
Well, all right. Obviously, the big storyline out of that race, Bobby Hayes making the low line, making the slider line work. Austin, do you think these guys were watching it, and are they going to be going for that as well, potentially?
DJ, I guarantee these guys all just saw what happened there. They realize how much speed there is down on the inside if you nail it just ever so right, like Bobby did. I feel like there's still a lot of speed on the high side, but these guys all saw that. They know what's left in this track.
Yeah, still a lot left to be had, and you can see there as they run around that darker, slicker-looking part of the dirt. That is starting to get rubbered in. That means it's going to get slipperier and slipperier and harder to run on, so those drivers are going to have to be very, very careful to not get caught out by that, and that's what's going to precipitate some of these lane changes that we've been talking about.
For sure, and you really can't just follow someone if you want to pass them. That's what we saw John Hahn do last race. He kind of just followed Chris Hill, and you really need to do something contradictory to what he's doing.
Exactly, but right now it's going to be Jim Revis in the 57 machine that's going to lead us all off here. He's getting ready to go, and he gets onto the loud pedal there. That's going to be a nice slot in behind for Chris Hill, but already looking to try to advance on him a little bit is J.R. Shepard, wanting to move this way and that, but that looks like a mega run off the corner for Chris Hill. He's going to challenge Revis into 3.
Yeah, Hill dives down to the inside. Going to be a drag race as they come across the start-finish. Not quite clearing Jim Revis is Christopher Hill. Side by side as they cross the start-finish. Hill forced to take the low line. We'll see how this works out. That's going to be Jim Revis on the outside, pulling away. He's now clear into first place solidly.
That is a big brain move there from Jim Revis, able to pull that out and start to really gap. Meanwhile, J.R. Shepard, now the latest to try to challenge Chris Hill for P2 over the course of this 8-lap race. That's the 47 down to the inside. Jason Best, you can see him trying to run the Bobby Hayes line a little bit. Not nearly as effective as the top four, spreading out a little bit. But then here comes Best. That low line starting to pay off as he's going to be duking it out with Jackie Whaley.
Yeah, you saw J.R. Shepard do the exact same thing with Christopher Hill to his outside. The outside is really strong in 1 and 2, but it fails in turns 3 and 4, and that's where J.R. and Jason get most of their time back as they head through turns 3 and 4 onto the front stretch. You're going to see Jason pull more than even here with that car in 4th place currently, Jackie Whaley.
Yeah, good runs there from him, but J.R. Shepard able to hold on nice and well. We are at the halfway point here in the C main event. Diving down into 3 and 4 again. This is exactly where you called it, Austin. That is where the low line looks to be especially powerful, but it does look like the 47 of Jason Best losing a little bit of momentum. He's going to fall back up onto the high line. We ride on board with the 47 as he tries to track down Jackie Whaley.
Yeah, I feel like Jason's going to dive down to the inside if he wants to here. Not quite as low as Whaley did to try to get up to JR, but I feel like nonetheless, this is where you want to be as you head through the corner. You're mostly just looking for that lighter dirt to see where all the grip is. Obviously, using that high line, that's where all the grip is in 1 and 2. In turns 3 and 4, you got some options.
And you saw Best there impacting the wall a little bit. Now tries to go low, looking to try to go lower even than Jackie Whaley in front of him. That's going to kind of work off. They're going to be a little bit side by side as they cross over. White flag in the air. J.R. Shepard working on Chris Hill here, but Jim Revis controlling this field from nearly the outset. Shepard trying to look for one last time. He's going to dive down a little bit lower than the 05 machine as they come around, but it is going to be Jim Revis that takes the win. That's Jackie Whaley around. Hill in second, Shepard in third. Whaley relegated all the way to 8th, and that means he is not going to make the dance.
Yeah, only the top 6 cars advancing here, so he falls about a $187 short, does Whaley, unfortunately not able to make the main event here.
Oh my goodness. Oh, absolutely heartbreaking there for Jackie Whaley. Matt Shadowski, the other driver in the 94, who is not going to be able to advance on.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker for those drivers. Going through the rest of the order here, you saw, so the top 6 drivers advance. That's Revis, Hill, Shepard, Best, Robinson, and Haslip. Unfortunately, Matt Shanowski and Jackie Whaley both going to go home. But now we'll do the starting lineup for the final last chance qualifier, the B main.
Indeed we will. It's going to be Hunter Hill in pole position, followed by Glenn Townsend with John Hine, the professor, and Jason Mendel lining up P4.
Steven Spies lines up in 5th with Brennan Myers to his outside. Rounding out the final row of the last chance qualifier is going to be John Wilson in 7th, and then Ryan Seneker in 8th.
In Austin, we really didn't talk about it in this last one because we just got so caught up in the action, frankly, but this is where push comes to shove. Talk about the nerves of starting in the back half of a field like this where you know there's a chance you're not going to make it into the end of the day.
Yeah, DJ, with every single pass that's made on you, every single corner you complete that you don't pull out, you know, the fully optimized line, carry all the momentum you need to, you're going to be worried about losing out, and then you're just like one of the other 2 drivers that now doesn't make the field. 4 in total are going home tonight, and if you're in the top half of the field, everything's great. You can lose at least 2 positions before you're going home, but if you're Brennan Myers, you lose 1 spot, you're done. If you're Steven Spies, you lose 2 spots, you're done. From any one of these drivers, a bad race in this, even if it's not your own doing, if you get involved in an accident, you're probably going to miss the field.
So does that cause you to drive a little bit more aggressively to try to work your way forward, or more defensively to make sure you're not getting passed?
I've always driven more defensively in that situation, but it really just depends how confident you're feeling in the car. If you're one of the drivers currently on the inside looking out, you're being defensive. If you're on the outside looking in, you have to be offensive.
All right, well, we'll see if that offense or defense plays in as Hunter Hill takes control of the field coming through turn 3 right now, waiting for that number 12 to get on the loud pedal, and get on the loud pedal he does. It's a pretty good start for him, and he's going to bring along Jason Menda with him. Menda's already starting to challenge Glenn Townsend. It also looks like there in the back, Brendan Myers going to make that high line work. Everybody who's caught out down on the low line not exactly working out. Townsend with a little bit of a fight back there, though. They're going to send the cars down into 3 and 4, seeing if that high line can play out.
Yeah, DJ, the last time we commented on Jason Best, you and I at least, he was ripping the outside, the high line 2 weeks ago, and he did fantastic in that race. Really held on until just about 10 laps into the feature when he was forced low, got involved in an accident. Huge wreck, though, out on the track. That's Seneca, Myers, and Townsend into the wall. That all kind of started with, I believe, Brendan Myers getting involved, hitting the outside wall, and then it kind of just stacked up the field behind him. Ryan Seneca had absolutely nowhere to go. The big winners in that, though, John Hine, he gained a lot of spots. Now he can run where he wants to. Steven Spees gained a couple spots as well. Jason Best still knocking down that outside wall.
Exactly, he did, and the big news out of that is Ryan Seneca has taken a tow into the pit, so he will effectively not be able to make it to the A-main at all. Brendan Myers still out on track, trying to get in, but we focus in on the battle right now for P3. This is Steven Spees and Jason Menda. Spees, a driver who likes to run lower lines. He's not a high line ripper, and there it pays off in dividends. He's going to lock himself into P3.
Yeah, Spees really prefers to be on the bottom, but he can rip a top if he needs to. He's one of the drivers that is able to go wherever he wants, but kind of the inverse of John Hine. John can go all over the track, but he prefers to be up by the wall. Steven Spees can do the same thing, but he likes to be down on the bottom, right next to those tractor tires if he can. There's just not a whole lot of grip all the way down there right now.
No, there really isn't. As we looked out the back there of Hines' machine back at Steven Spees, a little bit of a battle in the back here. This is the 75 of John Wilson and the 45 of Jason Menda. Menda up on the high side. Wilson trying to make a little bit of a modified slider line work. Doesn't quite have the crossover, and momentum's going to favor back over to Jason Menda as we cross up the line to take 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I feel like Menda's driving a damaged car ever since he got in the, I believe it was Glenn Townsend when he got into the wall, and then of course Brendan Myers and Ryan Seneca involved in an accident as well. I think that really damaged Menda's car.
White flag out in the air for Hunter Hill. John Hine trying to close in behind him, but it's not looking like that's going to play out to too much fruition as they dive into turn 3 for the final time in this B main event. Looks like Spees is trying to throw a last-minute maneuver, but it's not going to work as Hunter Hill takes the victory, followed by John Hine and Steven Spees. Wilson, Menda, and Townsend will advance with Myers and Seneca as a result of that kerfluffle that we saw earlier, not making the main show.
Yeah, absolute heartbreak for both those drivers, Townsend and Myers especially. They were 2 of the ones in the initial starting 6 that were going to make the field, had everything played out just the way it started, but unfortunately for them, it really did not. You can see the B main finishing results on your screen now. We're, though, going to get ready for the warm-up. This gives all the drivers that might have advanced to the feature event automatically right away a good opportunity to go out on track, see how it's changed since they were out there in the earlier running.
Yeah, and that's especially crucial for some of the drivers that hadn't really had a chance to run later on, specifically in those B or C mains. But it also gives us the chance to bring it back in our in-race reporter, Billy Northcutt. Billy, obviously this track is evolving quite a bit. We saw some success with the low line, kind of as you predicted, but how's it all feeling out there?
Man, right now it feels like the track's in pretty good shape, honestly. It's really kind of rough, and there's a couple of different lines, which is kind of fun. It hasn't gotten to the point yet where it's going to be just up top, I don't think, so that's pretty cool. We saw some guys, I mean, Bobby in that heat race really made it work on the bottom and got all the way up to second there at the end, so that was really cool to see, because we've seen this track get way too top dominant sometimes in those early stages, so that was really cool.
Billy, like you predicted, that low line at turns 3 and 4 is coming in. Does turn 1 and 2 ever do that, you think? Is that going to happen later in the night?
Man, I don't know. It seems kind of rare. When it does, you can really sneak up on some people, because whoever's leading doesn't seem to really like to be the one to try it, because if it's not there, you just get blown by 3 guys in one turn sometimes if it's not there and you guess wrong. But I hope it comes in. I hope the low line comes in over there and in 3 and 4, and makes this a racy one for you guys to watch and broadcast.
Well, I asked you earlier in the night, Billy, where do you want to be in turns 3 and 4 if you're the leader on top or down on the bottom? Is your answer still the same, or have you kind of rethought that now?
Right now, I think it's up top, but I think here in about 2 minutes, it's probably going to be the bottom, and then about 2/3 of the way through the feature, maybe it'll be up top again, maybe even earlier than that. But it's going to change, and it's going to change in a hurry when it does. And it'll be cool to see guys chasing that and trying out different lines and seeing if something's there.
For sure, Billy. We see you now 13th on the timing charts for this kind of warm-up. Are you trying to put down fast laps, or is this mostly just a sightseeing maneuver for you, where you kind of just go out and see what's comfortable?
Right now, I'm just guessing that the line right up by the wall is going to be where you're going to have to run. So I'm seeing how rough it is up there, and it's pretty rough actually, so that could make it really interesting. It's a little bit difficult already to get right up by the wall. I don't like to get out there and like ride the wall too much in the races, but in these warm-ups I'll get out there and push the limits like crazy just to see how far I can maybe push it once the race starts, so my times don't end up being a whole lot faster than they should be sometimes. But I may pull off and see what kind of line we got on the bottom here in a second, though.
Well, thank you so much, Billy. We'll let you get back to practicing and let you get back to trying out that bottom line, and best of luck to you in the A-Main.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys.
All right, that was Billy Northcutt, our in-race reporter and the driver of that very distinctive pink 00. All good there to see him. And Austin, sometimes we come into this track a little bit worried that it's going to be high side dominant, but that does not appear to be the case tonight. This is going to be a multi-groove race by the sound of it.
That's right, DJ. I feel like you could definitely get it done on the inside in turns 3 and 4. 1 and 2 might be a little bit more difficult, but I'm sure we'll see guys making the best out of those difficult situations as the warm-up rounds down. We have about a half a minute left of it.
We do indeed, and we'll play this game a little bit earlier because it's a shorter lap around here, but it's predictions time for us here, Austin. Who do you like? Who do you have your eye on over the course of the race?
Well, to your own detriment, I hope I'm going to go with Brandon Proudfoot again.
Always taking my thunder.
Yeah, always. Yeah, that's why you can't give me the first pick, man. You got to take it for yourself, then segue into it.
Well, I'm going to be watching out for William Hargraves. We saw him run very, very well in that first heat. I think the 71 knows what's at stake here, and if there's anybody that's going to be driving a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more, putting more on the line, it's going to be him. But that is going to lead us directly into the starting lineup for our main event here tonight. In pole position, it's my pick, William Hargraves, followed by Carl Kilgore, with Billy Northcutt and Brandon Proudfoot behind them. Lon Franks will line up in 5th with Bobby Hayes to his outside, and Jim Revis and Hunter Hill behind them. Chris Hill will be 9th, and John Hine rounds out your top 10.
J.R. Shepard starts in the 11th position with Steven Spies to his outside in 12th. Lining up in 13th, that's going to be the driver of the number 47 car, Jason Best, and 14th is John Wilson. Robbie Robinson lines up in 15th with Jason Mendez to his outside. Rounding out the field is Chris Haslip in 17th and Glenn Townsend in 18th.
All right, and remember, leader does get lane choice here, so I'm going to be very interested to see what Hargraves opts to pick. It started off as it looked like the early way to go down low, but we've seen them pick the higher lane a little bit later on, so that's something I'm going to keep my eye on.
Yeah, DJ, I feel like it's going to be, 6 1/2 dozen the other, really 50-50 flip of the coin, because as a leader, you get to start the race, and we've seen all the guys, if they start on the inside, they're more often than not clear by at least maybe a half a car length to a car length, maybe even 2 car lengths as they head down into turns 1 and 2, so you can really start wherever you want. We see the number 71 car of William Hargraves. He's going to choose the high side.
He's going to choose the high side, and that's going to put Proudfoot directly behind him, so a little bit of championship implications there. Also, keep an eye out for Billy Northcutt. He's going to be starting down on that low side. As we said, as that really starts to be good, that may be a place to watch out for. Also, keep an eye on the 6th place car here of Lon Franks. Franks has had some great speed over the course of these races, and he may be a little bit of a dark horse.
Yeah, for sure. Franks is one of those drivers where if he's more faster than you, he'll more often than not put the bumper to you coming out of the corner, just get you a little bit loose, especially if you're on the high side. He'll just kind of squeeze you off to the bottom, get you a little bit loose, squeeze around you on the outside, especially out of turns 3 and 4. So we can use that in turns 1 and 2.
Indeed he will, but the pace truck is off right now, and control of the field goes over to William Hargraves, waiting to get on the loud pedal. He's going to hold the field up a good long time, finally gets on it there, and he gets a good jump over Kilgore. Kilgore boxes in Proudfoot there, crucially. Northcutt's going to go down to the low side, try to make something work there. A little bit of squirreliness for Kilgore. Is that going to open up a door to Proudfoot? No, Proudfoot still continues to be boxed in as they dive into 3 and 4.
Yeah, Kilgore was all over the rear end of Hargraves there. You see Billy Northcutt still giving it everything he has on the inside, still doing a really good job to kind of stay even with Kilgore, but that's really going to hurt him in turns 1 and 2. Kilgore hits the outside wall. Proudfoot now gets into the back of Kilgore.
And look at that from Billy Northcutt, able to make that low line work and get himself up there. But yeah, that checkup from Proudfoot not going to help him at all. Proudfoot trying to find a way by, but Northcutt loving that low line and now trying to make a challenge on the leader of William Hargraves.
Yeah, Kilgore gets into the wall one more time, similar to how he did last time. That checks up Proudfoot a huge amount, gives Lon Franks the opportunity to now get to the inside of both those drivers. And now, if he wants to, Northcutt can come all the way up the track and kind of just stay in the tire tracks of Hargraves, kind of just stalk him for a little bit.
Yes, he can, and I've got to feel the frustration here out of the 22 getting held up a little bit behind Carl Kilgore. This is not just what he wants to do, as there, that may be a little bit of a respite to him as Kilgore dives down low. Still able to get a massive clearance, though, on Proudfoot. Proudfoot not able to get anything as they all go high through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's still Hargraves out front. He hasn't been able to make a whole lot of inroads in terms of a large gap back to the rest of the field, but there is a pretty sizable gap now between Proudfoot to Lon Franks, and then from Lon Franks to John Hines. John Hines kind of sitting by himself right now in clean air. Got a lot of room behind him.
Looks like Kilgore there lost a little bit of momentum, as did Billy Northcutt. Kilgore tries to slide back on Proudfoot. May have been a little bit of contact there between the two. Now it's going to be Northcutt that's going to have to try to get up and clear and get in front of Brandon Proudfoot. He does. Proudfoot boxed in again, has to check himself up. The dice just not falling here for the 22.
Yeah, this is not what Proudfoot wants to have happen, but he's driving a smart race right now. He knows he has a huge lead in the championship, and really all he needs to do is have a pretty decent run here tonight. Good points finish. You always dreaded a good points day. You hated to hear that back in the 90s, but this is what it's all about when, you have a grueling 12-week season without drop weeks. You need to have just those solid weeks to do well in the championship.
Indeed they do, as they continue to work their way around here. Northcutt all the way down on the low side, trying to get this going. Looking back in the field there, Jim Revis holding up a little bit of a hornet's nest behind him as he goes side by side around the corner with the 05 of Chris Hill.
Yeah, you see J.R. Shepard fighting with all these drivers, and there's a big wad of cars right here. Matt Malone would call this a gaggle. We're side by side, though, for the lead coming off turns 3 and 4. That's where the inside is the strongest.
Yeah, it seems like everybody likes that high line through 1 and 2, and then there's the dives down to 3 and 4. That's Kilgore and Northcutt going down low as we get ready to cross over the quarter mark. Is that going to be enough for Northcutt to be able to get the pass done? No, it's not. He tries to get up in front of Billy Northcutt and in front of Brandon Proudfoot, but that's not going to work. He's going to lose a little momentum, I think, coming off of turn 2, and indeed he does. He's going to be side by side now with Brandon Proudfoot, but again, that low line's going to pay dividends here through 3 and 4.
Yeah, crucially, though, for Proudfoot, he was able to get around the outside of, Northcutt when he went down to the bottom of the track. He couldn't quite clear himself up, and now Proudfoot's able to now he's latching on to the back bumper of our leader.
Is indeed this battle for first place getting very, very good. Lon Franks just kind of lurking in the background there. Kilgore trying to pick a lane here. And remember, Kilgore, I think, is getting into a little bit of the position that we saw Proudfoot in earlier, where he was getting boxed in, unable to make the move. Northcutt there, not able to get anything going, but he's going to resolutely stick down to the low side as we ride on board with Carl Kilgore.
Yeah, thankfully though for Kilgore, Proudfoot hasn't been hitting the wall a whole lot. Now they're 3 wide coming out of turns 3 and 4. That was incredible car control from all those drivers, showing a lot of patience and respect. I don't think many guys could go 3 wide, especially running that close to one another.
Yeah, Northcutt trying to throw the slider there, but not able to carry momentum through the middle of the corner. He's now going to be joined down on the low side by Lon Franks, but Franks gets a little bit of tire spin coming off of turn 4. That's going to drop Northcutt back down into 4th position as he continues to try to work that low line resolutely. Carl Kilgore trying to close in on the back of Brandon Proudfoot, but William Hargraves continuing to lead. Here comes Proudfoot with the slider!
Yeah, Proudfoot sends it all the way down to the inside of the track. You see Hargraves goes to the inside, kind of the over-under move, kind of seeing that coming. Now he's forced to use the low line in turns 1 and 2. Hasn't been very strong, but he's going to go ahead and pull another slider. Proudfoot, I think he's going to be the big winner here because now he gets to use the inside where the inside is most useful. But you look at Carl Kilgore, he pulls a slide job too, now forcing Brandon Proudfoot down to the inside turns 1 and 2.
Talk about a heads-up move there from Carl Kilgore. Trying to throw the slider there is Proudfoot, but he's got to check himself up out of a fear of an accident, and that's going to give Kilgore the lead. Now it's Hargraves that's going to be trying to get by Brandon Proudfoot. Lon Franks down on the super low line. They're almost 3 wide.
Yeah, great battle for the lead here. We've been green the entire night. These guys really going at it. You see Carl Kilgore, it really seemed like he was destined for a top 5 finish at best, but now he's gone all the way to the front of the field. The closest battle we have side by side is between Billy Northcutt and Lon Franks, that 58 car. Franks pulling a huge slide job on Northcutt.
And you saw Hargraves there trying to throw a little bit of slider as well on Brandon Proudfoot, but to no avail. Looking around here, I don't think he's going to be close enough unless he really chucks this car in. Indeed, all 3 of your top 3 positions going to stay up on the high line. The only driver going down low is going to be Billy Northcutt trying to work his way around Lon Franks as they cross over the line here to take lap 20. They are now single file for the first top 5.
Yeah, single file all around the outside of the track. Not a whole lot going on in terms of side-by-side racing until you go deeper and deeper through the field. You see a lot of these drivers kind of using the cushion on the outside. We'll see if the inside line ever gets faster, like Billy Northcutt alluded to in the pre-race warm-up while we were kind of asking him some questions.
A little bit of a squirrely exit there for Brandon Proudfoot. I thought for a second that was going to be the chance that Hargraves wanted to go dive down and try to send the big slide job, but to no avail. He's going to fall back a little bit, but that has allowed for Kilgore to pull out about a 4-car length of advantage, and we've now got another storyline that's going to start to develop. They are starting to catch onto some lap traffic in the form of Glenn Townsend.
Yeah, before they know it, these guys are going to be on him like white on rice. Real quickly, though, I'd just like to go through the field while we do have a little bit of break in the absolute intense action we've been seeing all night. Brandon Proudfoot in 2nd, William Hargraves in 3rd. We talked about the championship battle between those 2 cars. Very big points deficit. You go through the field further, there's Billy Northcutt right now riding along in 5th. John Hine, still where we saw him earlier today, kind of just in no man's land. You look at the driver behind him, Jim Rivas, same deal for him, and then Steven Spies, all those guys kind of out there in clean air, not doing a whole lot of battling for position. Robbie Robinson just barely ahead of Jason Best. You see John Wilson fighting with J.R. Shepard, and right behind those guys is Christopher Hill using the top. Bobby Hayes, the driver that pulled off that immaculate slide job to end his last chance qualifier.
Yeah, so definitely some separation starting to get out over the course of the field as we work lap 25 here, crossing the line with 15 to go. Carl Kilgore getting very friendly with that outside wall, as was Brandon Proudfoot. Drivers have got to be a little bit careful about that. You can flirt with the wall, but you don't want to get too loving with it, otherwise it will definitely come back to bite you.
Surely, we saw Glenn Townsend get mega sideways off turns 1 and 2 that time. That forces him down to the bottom of the track. He's going to let the leaders all go around him on the high side. You see them doing that right now, and just as soon as the top 2 drivers kind of got in the wall, you saw that driver in 3rd place, William Hargraves, he did it there too. And DJ, as these guys use the top line more and more, that cushion builds up against the wall, but it gets smaller and smaller, so your kind of margin for error gets smaller and smaller as well. You see a lot of guys hitting the wall, bouncing off of it. Chris Hill, though, I'm getting word he is manually disconnected from the session.
I hate to see that for him. We watched this battle for the final podium position, though. This is Lon Franks trying to close in on P2 in the championship in the form of William Hargraves. Franks has looked very quick, not only here today, but across the course of the season. We're right on board with the 58 right now. Let's see if he's got anything for the 71.
Yeah, you can see his picture sideways, almost as sideways as these cars are getting out on track. You see Lon just stalking his prey right now. It doesn't seem to be too much faster than Hargreaves in front of him. Really gains a lot of time going into the corner, and then kind of on corner exit, you see William Hargreaves just barely eke away.
Yeah, just getting away there a little bit. That tells me that Hargreaves is able to get that car rotated a little bit earlier into the corner and really blast off, get his tires to dig in mid-corner and fire away. But Frank's still looking very, very threatening. As also, it has to be said, as does Brandon Proudfoot and Carl Kilgore. We'll keep an eye on both of those battles.
Yeah, another thing to take note on, I've seen that Glenn Townsend has also manually disconnected from the session, so that is both the last place drivers in 18th and 17th.
And here comes Proudfoot. Proudfoot with a slider, trying to make it work. There's contact, big contact between himself and Carl Kilgore. Kilgore all kinds of sideways as he tries to gather it up back under him.
Yeah, Proudfoot almost had Carl Kilgore completely cleared. I think they might have just made contact, kind of axle to axle, the rear one of Proudfoot to the front one of Kilgore, so that's where that contact came from. I mean, honestly, I think it was even close to the net, DJ. I feel like Carl really should have backed out of the throttle there just a little bit more.
Just a bit of a miscommunication among drivers. You can see just how hard Carl is really wheeling that car around the track, trying to get it going to the best that he can. Now it is all down to William Hargreaves to try to catch the 22 as he streaks away off into the distance here, as we've seen him do many, many a time.
Yeah, we've seen this happen from Brandon Proudfoot so many races. He kind of starts in 3rd, 4th, 5th position, sometimes even worse than that, and by the end of the race he kind of just pulls back up to be competitive with everyone else, and more often than not finishes on the podium, gets a talk with either of us, DJ, and then kind of just ekes out and makes his championship lead larger and larger every single race.
And he has pulled a gap of about a full second here with 6 laps to go. Dare I say that's unassailable, but here comes Carl Kilgore looking for a low line here on William Hargreaves. Is he going to be able to pull it off? They're going to be side by side coming off the corner, but momentum will be favoring Hargreaves. He slots back in the line directly in front of Lon Franks, but gets very friendly with the wall. Big contact there between the two.
Yeah, Carl Kilgore slid into the outside wall, made huge contact with it, really slowed him down. That allowed Lon Franks to kind of get up into him, and these guys don't really have a whole lot of time to check up when the driver in front of them slows down that drastically. You can see all these guys, 3rd, 4th, 5th, now getting into the wall. Billy Northcutt kind of a little bit further back than these guys, a little bit further off the wall, but you can see both Hargreaves and Kilgore making pretty decent contact with the wall.
And it doesn't look like Kilgore is quite done with this yet. 3 laps to go. He wants to try to take on to that second place position right now. Really flirting with that wall, getting all up into it, trying to maximize everything he can out of that number 9 machine.
Yeah, Brandon Proudfoot's just loving this. These two guys bailing out between each other, bouncing off the walls. Half the time they go into the corners. He has now eked out another 2/10 to his lead.
Yes, he has, and he is going to be getting ready to take the white flag this time around. The real battle, the real decision is going to be for P2. Proudfoot comes off at the corner for the penultimate time here. White flag from Barney the Flagman is in the air for Brandon Proudfoot and for these two drivers. A little bit of a defensive line.
Oh, Northcutt to the outside of Hargreaves.
That was an over-rotation for Hargreaves, and Kilgore right on by. That is a great heads-up move for the number 9. But here comes Brandon Proudfoot. Out of turn 4 for the final time. He will take the victory. Behind him, it'll be Carl Kilgore and William Hargreaves to round out your podium.
Wow, what a finish. And to think we went that entire race green to green, that was awesome racing.
Exactly what you want to see out of a Friday night dirt series. A fantastic show put on here by the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. My goodness gracious, Austin, dare I say that may be one of the best races we've had all season.
DJ, I'm not going to argue with you there. That was flat out fantastic racing by all of our competitors.
Was indeed, and there you see your final results. Brandon Proudfoot able to take the win yet again. Carl Kilgore pipping William Hargreaves on that last lap to take P2. Lon Franks was in 4th, and Billy Northcutt rounds out your top 5. John Hine was 6th, followed by Jim Revis and Steven Speeds. Jason Best was 9th, and Robbie Robinson rounds out your top 10.
John Wilson comes home in 11th position, followed by J.R. Shepard in 12th. Bobby Hayes finishes 13th, followed by Jason Menda in 14th. Chris Haslip rounds out your top 15, with Glenn Townsend finishing in 16th. And then the last two drivers on the field, the two Hills, Chris and Hunter, in 17th and 18th, respectively.
All right. I mean, just a fantastic race there. Exactly what you want to see. Exactly the kind of stuff you love. And it's one of the reasons we love racing here at Charlotte. But we have got our winner, Mr. Brandon Proudfoot, joining us here in the booth. Brandon, another day, another win, but you definitely had to work for that one a little bit.
I'm not happy how what ended up happening, but yeah.
Well, talk me through a little bit of that contact with yourself and Carl. I mean, it seemed like just sort of an innocuous incident, both of you trying to fight for the same piece of real estate.
Oh, stand by. I'm getting out my rig. Yeah, it was... He ended up getting the wall there on the back stretch, and I ended up moving to the inside of him. I had to run, and I thought the lap car was letting me go, and I went to the corner, all I seen was this fender, so all I could do was straighten out. And whenever the track's that slick, you have two options: either you project and hope the guy sees you, or try to get out of it and hope you don't slide up all the way. Considering he hit the wall, I figured I had the momentum, so I tried to project. I don't run with a mirror, so I had no idea where Carl ended up being, so all I could do was hope and pray, and unfortunately we got together.
Well, I mean, obviously, I know not the way you wanted to do it, but this is going to solidify your championship here pretty much. Heading to Lima Land next week, or is it a race-by-race situation, or are you hoping to wrap up the title?
Race by race. I've told you guys many a times, I come here for the community and ultimately drive with a group of guys. Not many people on a track that black can you go caution free. And whenever everybody has their heads together, we as a community can definitely race caution free. And yeah, there's some doors here and there, but ultimately this community is just so great. It's just being able to come back every week and know that you don't have another team specifically that's specifically like, oh, he gets ahead of me, I'm spinning him, or oh, this driver has a vendetta against me. If I throw a slider on him, he's going to park it or do what I did to Carl. There's a good example. But it's really just track day by day and just one after the other, just coming back to these group of guys. That's all there is to it.
Well, we love seeing all of you out here racing. And Brandon, you know the drill. Who do you got to shout out tonight?
This old bourbon, winners get whiskey. Not the way I wanted it at all. Carl, that should have been your win, or at the very least a good battle to the end there. Apologies. General Tire, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, Stance Racing Fabrication, Yes 2 Motorsport, Walt and all the guys that host the league, do stuff in the background, replay reviews, which fingers crossed we shouldn't have to do this week. You guys here at Virtual Grip Network for doing the broadcast, fiance, family, and friends, and everybody else that roots me on the streams, Facebook, Twitters, whatnot. Thanks, guys. See you next week, hopefully.
Well, we will see you then, Brandon. That was your winner here tonight, Brandon Proudfoot. And now, Austin, I believe you've caught up with the one and only Carl Kilgore.
I certainly have. Hey, Carl, not the race you wanted to have tonight, but a fantastic drive to get back the second position there on the white flag lap. First off, talk me through the race. It really up and down for you today.
Yeah, we were taking our time at the beginning, and when we seen Brandon and William get to racing, we knew we had a chance at it. And we would take a shot at it. We just had to wait for that opportunity, and I seen Brandon throw a slider on wheel, which killed both of their momentum, and I got a 2-for-1 when I slid them both.
Yeah, we saw you really take advantage of that maneuver and then take the lead, and then walk me through that slide job that Brandon pulled on you about halfway through the race. Did you know he was going to go down that far, where you kind of expected him to just clear you completely and you were going to throw the old over-under on him?
No, I knew he wasn't going to clear me. That's why we stayed in it and stayed on the top, and I don't know if he just didn't realize it or didn't lift for us.
For sure. Well, Carl, before I let you go, is there anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
Oh yeah, Majulis and C Speed Shop, CFM Esports, Kilgore Consulting, Big Owl Lubricants. Got to thank y'all guys for putting this on, and everything Bootleg Racing League does.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight, Carl. Have a good night, man.
Y'all too.
We'll throw it back to DJ. Unfortunately, we can't catch up with William Hargraves, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up for you.
We will indeed, as that is going to about wrap things up for us here. And on behalf of Austin Belke, Mike Yao, and the rest of the Virtual Grip Network, we would like to thank you for joining us here tonight at the Virtual Dirt Track at Charlotte. The next race for this series, well, that's going to be March 11th, next Friday from Limaland at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. And the next race on the channel, well, that will be the BRL Grand National Series live from Martinsville tomorrow night, March 5th at 8:55 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back for that race at Limaland. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.